Battle started.
Get ready to crank up the intensity. We're diving into a brand new battlefield for action-packed 1 vs 1 showdown as Pigz takes on the chaos of Beyond All Reason multiplayer. This time he's squaring off against the formidable TankTom from All Reason No Logic. It's round 2. Will Pigz get his revenge?
Let's see how the wind plays on this one, shall we?
You're joining us on Z Remake, which is an interesting map where there's a large amount of crystals that give you energy and metal. The map is diagonally symmetrical, so both players should have very similar starts and very similar access to resources. All the metals in this one are 2.3s with a geo on each side to help boost the players. Both players are going with... Oh, one player is actually starting... TankTom is starting with vehicles, and Pigz is starting with bots, which should actually give Pigz an advantage because he'll be able to get Lazarus to reclaim all of the resources around the map. But we'll see whether the advantage in damage and, well, tankiness the tanks give if Tom can hold the middle and push on through.
That's it. Definitely an advantage if he takes advantage of that. That's another question. So
Yeah.
Prater 30 reckons got this one.
Because Pigz is going for the bots, I'm going to wait to see whether he actually builds Lazarus. If he does, I'm going to give it to him. If he doesn't, then I'm going to give it to Tom.
You can see he's already stalled on the energy, whereas
Yep.
Tom has not.
Pigz only built the 4 wind, whereas Tom built 7. And that extra 1 has made the difference. It doesn't look like we're getting an early Lazarus, which would be used to counteract the energy problems that both players are having.
I'm very surprised as well. Pigz did not start his commander in the middle of the 3 mexes, which he learned how to do that. And as such, Tom definitely had a faster start, and he somehow spent less metal than Pigz at the start as well, but getting a bit more out. But you can see Pigz has definite push. Probably would have liked to see a couple ticks in that first composition just to scout, because by the time those units get there, there's going to be a defender's advantage, and you can see those blitz are going to make nice work of the pawns.
Still, he'll need more than the 2 blitzes he currently has, though combined with the LLTs, I don't think there's any way for Pigz to push through this. There's 4?
Yeah.
Oh, he's got 2 off to the side.
Actually,
I wonder if he's expecting a... Yep, I wouldn't mind seeing Pigz go through the valley instead of across the middle of the map. Using bots means that he has the ability to walk up and down these cliffs, which TankTom does not. So we'll see whether that comes into play later this game.
Still no Lazarus.
Still no Lazarus. Oh no, there is the one. Oh no, he's actually using a construction bot instead of a Lazarus. That's an expensive way to do it, but it still gets the job done. I also want to note that Pigz is expanding this game, so he's taken the lessons from past games to heart and making sure he doesn't leave metal on the table.
One thing I prefer with Tom's base right now, he's got that construction turret up and taking his commander out to the front line, so if those units do push, his commander's going to be able to degun and take him out quite early.
And Tom has the energy to degun, which Pigz wouldn't even if his comm was up the front.
And Pigz has just gone into that construction turret unassisted, so that's going to be a 1-minute build for that constructor. At least he's taking that commander forward.
If he was going to leave his comm back in the base, he should have used it to help build the construction turret. Though with metal being so low, it wouldn't have made the biggest difference. Tom's got a fairly strong defense at that midpoint, though I would have loved to see it on the other side of the canyon so that he'd have access to 4 more mexes.
He does have that Janus, which is going to do a lot of damage to pawns.
Yep, 1 shot from a Janus is quite dangerous. We'll see whether Pigz can manage the range advantage and the maneuverability of the Rocketeers to try and deal with it. Looks like Pigz has got the metal field advantage at the moment. Whether he collects it is another matter.
Pigz actually bringing in more metal at the moment.
Yep. In fact, Pigz is bringing in 21 metal compared to TankTom's 13.5, so it looks like we've got a complete reverse of the previous match. I don't think that Tom has quite the experience playing tanks as he does bots. In particular, taking a very nearly bad trade. You shouldn't lose a blitz when
Janus
fighting.
has arrived.
When fighting
just,
a pawn.
make comment on the base that
try
Pigz is
something a
setting
little
up at
bit
the moment.
Mm-hmm.
He has gone and
Makes
built
sense.
his wins in a big grid. I'm just showing it on my screen at the moment. Where you drag down Shift and Alt into a big square. Now, if you do that and you don't leave a gap in between the wind, they do have the possibility of chain reacting. So what you can do is press Z and X while you're holding down that Shift and Alt, and that'll put the spaces in between those winds. Alternatively, you can drag them out in rows of 2, and that will prevent a chain reaction also.
See further than I can.
Some risky fighting going on in the middle. Tom is sending out Janus unprotected. While they've got the damage to protect themselves, we'll see whether Pigz is able to take advantage of their status. Pigz is very wisely healing his units up with his comm. Unfortunately, whether he realizes it or not, 4 Janus is enough to snipe a comm.
Like that.
And he obviously doesn't realize as well, once those Janus shoot their missile off, it takes a while to reload. He could grab all those pawns and just send them in.
Yep.
And clean up all those Janus. But you watch your retreat here, I reckon it's like him to retreat rather than attack.
Yep. Best thing to do when you're fighting a Janus is if they've fired their shot, get in there and take him out.
Playing a bit of a dangerous game here.
Even TankTom acknowledges that they're playing with fire. What I'd love to see TankTom doing is actually be willing to sacrifice some of his units, but to snipe the comm.
Oh, tic-tac-toe.
And Tom is, in fact, both players have a lot of metal in the bank, so I'd like to see a bit more build power in the background.
Yep, they're
This is
both
not the
concentrating
right
on their
unit to
micro
take
and
on
letting their
the-
macro fall behind.
Get on it before it fires again. That'll be different. There you go. Yeah, got it.
There we go.
Definitely an improvement in Pig's game, this one. What I wouldn't mind seeing
Oh,
is what you
that's-
mentioned at the start, and some sneaky
I wonder
walkthroughs, so
why
you can
things were
see
quiet.
up on the map here, he could just simply send his units through there and take advantage of the fact that he's got bots and Tom has vehicles.
Yep. But they're both fighting a mid game, which certainly favors the tanks, though. And I think that if you were to sum up the losses, Tom would be trading very efficiently.
The best
And
solution.
In fact, we can see that Tom's trading at 132% efficiency compared to Pigz's 68.
Pigz has just gone into a T2 lab, which is great, but he does not have the build power for it. He needs to get maybe 2 more construction turrets up before going for that lab, and also if he does run out of metal, he should stop building.
I
out
feel
of
like
lab.
you'd be interested to see what you're actually up against.
I mean,
I just no. I probably wouldn't be interested to see what I'm up against, and it would be a WTF moment. I could guarantee it.
some
Yes.
good banter between the players.
This is classic Pigz.
I know Summit. I have to do something.
He gets a little
Okay.
bit flustered with what do I do? What do I do? How do I beat these Janus? Not realizing that he's already got the units on the front line to beat it. Those pawns are perfect for just rushing those Janus.
Not to mention, TankTom's been holding the front effectively with 4
Yeah.
Janus for the last 3 or 4 minutes. They're both certainly suffering, trying to macro and micro at the same time.
We're seeing a building decay again from Pigz instead of finishing off that lab. He's just letting it decay. 8 seconds left on it, and instead he's gone into a thing and let it decay once more.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
we've got Tank 2 transitioning into T2, despite Pigz starting his lab significantly earlier because of all the decaying. I think they're actually going to finish at a similar time. The problem with both players are going to face is power. Neither of them have a large power economy.
Tonight,
Tom has got the Geo, thankfully, but Pigz has left his unbuilt, which is definitely a mistake if you're going into T2 this early in the game.
Yeah, running T2 off of only, what's he got? 300-ish?
300 metal? Oh, sorry, 300 energy. If you look at a regular T2 unit, like let's take a Bull for example, which is the standard assault tank, for TankTom. That's 13,000 energy, which means that the limiting factor is going to be energy.
What the hell?
Just like this, Tom
Yes.
is now ahead of medal.
Yep. When you're limited by energy or power, sometimes, despite how much stronger T2 units are, it can be an advantage to stay at T1 and create a big T1 army. Something which Tom could really benefit from is putting 1 or 2 blitzers in front of the army to take that first volley of rockets. Though with this many Janus on the field, so long as he gets the shots off, it's not going to matter.
Unfortunately, Pigz just isn't rushing those Janus once they fire. He's got the vision now with the, what are those? Oh, they're all Janus. I thought there were some whistlers in there. I was wrong.
You can see Tom is building a construction turret on the front line so that he can have passive healing. By passive, it still costs resources, but it means he doesn't have to direct a unit to do it. That build turret will just heal anything that comes into range. Tom's the first one to get some T2 units to the front. He's gone with Jaguars, which is a lightning tank with the ability to deal with anti-air.
You can totally run into that.
As you know, that Pigz
Clearly.
Tom knows Pigz has been trained up by Twig. So
what they say is that's all she wrote, you know what I mean?
So the opportunity to go into an air transition is a high one, so I actually think those Jaguars are not a bad call. They'll also help greatly with crowd control for all of the T1 units. I'd like to see him get some longer range units so that he can start shelling and pushing Pigz back off the middle. He's getting a T2 constructor, which is great for upgrading the Mexus, but an extra 8 metal in the center would do him good, as well as eliminating some of Pigz's power. Now, Pigz is starting to push forward with smugglers, which are radar jammers, which should give him the advantage in line of sight. However, if Tom were to send those Jaguars in ahead of the Janus, he would have a lot of damage that he could do to Pigz's line. As we saw there, Pigz was able to use his D-gun to take out some of those Janus, but he took just a single Janus shot, and as you can see, his health is down to 69%.
Pardon my language, ladies and gentlemen.
I think
Tom
Pigz
now
really
is
needs to
countering.
worry about that commander snipe.
Yep.
Tom's known in AI games to really push those commanders hard, so Pig's got to watch out. Still undefended pathway through the north there.
So, as you can see, both armies are actually inside of radar jammer fields at the moment, though Tom's, now it's taken damage, is no longer jamming the radar. The reason that the Hounds were able to shoot the buildings is because any building whose position is already known will stay visible, even as it's looked by a radar. See how effective those Jaguars are? Looks like Tom is going for that comm snipe.
Yeah, we're going to get it, I reckon.
Oh, but he didn't turn hold fire onto the Janus, which means they're going to have to wait there for a second before they can get the shots off. That's the end of Pigz's comm. GG.
I thought you were game having it that close to the front.
I thought you were going to move them Januses all in one clump there, and it didn't happen, and that's why I thought, right, I'm going to D-gun because I can get them all, and that actually... Hey, boys.
Welcome back to the chat.
We called that one. We both predicted the comm snipe.
Yep. Once you get the Janus on the field, a comm snipe is one of the fastest ways to victory. A very passive game from both of our players this time. Little skirmishes in the middle, but very little in the way of trying to get run bys and trying to do damage to the base. Pigz, how do you think you went in that game?
Slightly better. I was umming and ahhing about, again, a transfer. I was actually umming and ahhing about starting of air and not actually, completely different. But I thought, no, it might be a bit too radical for me. But no.
You and I played this map recently, Pigz, and you forgot that your units could... Yeah, remember this is the map where the units can go up and down those cliffs, and you didn't take advantage of that.
That's it. It's these on the right hand side.
You could have won. You could have won.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely. It's funny. I was looking at when I looked at it to start with. I thought I recognise this map, or maybe I don't recognise this map. You know what I mean? And then I looked at it. I thought at the bottom here, this was water. Can you put your bit titles in there or not?
No, that's acid.
No, so that's
No.
acid.
See,
While
that's
you can
if you
build in them, the building won't survive.
In fact, it's lava. If you put your cursor over it, it says lava.
Oh, it's lava, is it? Because it doesn't.
Now, Pigz, we make these videos for tutorials for new beginners, and one of our first ones is those 5 things you got to ask yourself at the start of the game, and it looks like you've once again not done that.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I do make these silly little, like I said, I make the silly little mistakes, and sometimes they don't show at the start. And then I thought he might be going to an air trans, like I know how dirty player you can be. So
I was
that's
grateful
always
that you
mind.
never pushed.
Yeah, we thought he was going to because he built a bunch of units, but then he just left them halfway.
When I was joking about you wouldn't want to see what I had like, was it 4 Janus and
4
2
Janus.
LPs?
Yep.
And that was the entirety of my army.
Most of the
So if you
game.
got through, you would have killed me and kept going.
Jumping over to you, Tom. You decided to go vehicles this game. What made you decide that?
Because I figured I'd be able to hold the middle nicely. If I ended up with kind of a critical mass, there's a good chance I could just roll on through. Like if you can break the front line of an army, you can then keep rolling through LLTs or whatever's left until you get to the back of the base.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Were you worried about the 3 additional attack avenues you'd be leaving open that bots can traverse and tanks can't?
this is why one of the first things I did was set up LLTs across those points, so I at least had something in the way.
You
and I
didn't
was
have
aware
that
that
on
I
the
had-
first one.
Yep. So if you look in the middle of the map, right in the very middle, you can
I
actually
did
see.
wonder whether that's one as well.
Yep.
So for players
So that's just
watching,
an
if you just
oversight from
press,
not having
if
map
you
knowledge.
click one of your units, and
One of the next questions I wanted to ask, with the absolute abundance of the crystals around, which provide both metal and energy, we noticed that both of you guys didn't take full advantage of that in the early game. Was that just a lack of knowledge, or was that a decision because you wanted to, because you were looking? Yeah. You did start taking them. I was just wondering whether you realized partway into the game, or if it was just.
I realized partway in, I was
oversight.
like, I should have gone bots, but I've already got vehicles at this point, so I'm just going to keep on rolling with it. Well, then, because I ended up getting energy, I was like, I don't want to eat them at this point, because then I'll just overflow and waste them.
just a quick one for the viewers. If you select a unit and hit F2, you'll be able to see, for the viewers on my screen, these guys can't see it, it'll show you in green on the map where those units can traverse. So if I select Tom's commander, you can see it can walk down those paths there, whereas if you select a vehicle, that's not a vehicle, that's a vehicle, you can see it can only stay on the top plateaus.
I did not realize F2 did that. That is good to know.
The more you know.
Neither did I. Yep. All right, I think on that note, we might.
The silly thing is on that bottom right hand side, I built LLT, so something in my mind was saying that can transverse. But what he didn't tell me in my own mind was, wait a minute, you can do that as well. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, oh, he can have bots or something come up here, and then I didn't think in my own mind, well, why don't I send mine down there? It was like that. I don't know why, but as you're engaging, you just sometimes you don't think about these things.
We would have thought with your heritage being English, you'd be good at invading Pigs, but not this time.
And on that note,
we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Catch everybody. Thanks for watching.